All right, well, back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Um, yeah, I put the question to you. I put the question in the title of this show. Well, it's interesting because I showed something about the Just Stop Oil, the protest of the congressional baseball game the other day, and I forget who, but somebody immediately pointed out that it was this organization was funded by particular characters that might be tied to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and lots of straightforward like Green New Deal support, which is interesting, right? Which makes me, it raises an eyebrow for me. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We will talk about it. Um, Denver Attaway, if the squad is there, fake, if not real. Okay, so interestingly enough, the guy, I guess, one of the staffers that organized it works for Cori Bush. So there you go. So there you go. That answers your question, right? Is Vegas flooding? Is that true? What happened to the microwave satellites that were microwaving all the water to the southwest? If that's true. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of raised eyebrows around it. However, however, that being said, I do believe that people are honestly concerned for the environment. So I don't, you know. Here's another thing about the Green New Deal. We'll talk about it a little more, but here's a thing about the Green New Deal is that it doesn't ever go anywhere. It doesn't get support. It's not supported by the government. It's never been passed. It's not really a thing that's actually been considered seriously. It's kind of like the overpopulation agenda, or depopulation agenda. It's like, well, okay, but if it's actually working, wouldn't you see, because the population is still growing. So the depopulation agenda isn't working very well. That doesn't mean that something won't be happening in the future, right? Or how about the idea that climate change itself, destroying the planet, destroying the environment, is a depopulation agenda, and not and a kind of a sloppy one at that, right? So, you know, screwing up people's fertility rates and destroying the ability to grow crops and destroying the ecology of the planet. Sure, depopulation agenda, kind of sloppy. Because then, if you destroy the planet, then what do you got? What do you inherit? What are the elites inheriting if you've done all that? You get what I'm saying, right? It's classically Pyrrhic victory, which is you won, but you didn't win anything. So there you go. Vegas flooded overnight in a rare thunderstorm. All right. Wow. Okay, let's look at that. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Because there's other weird things that are going on, weather-wise. We're going to cover like weird weather first. So yeah, anyways, here's the thing too about the staffers. The staffers protesting, much like, remember when the Sunrise Movement was like, confronting Nancy Pelosi or Dianne Feinstein or other people in Congress, and they were just basically like, "You guys are cute. Now get out of my office." So all the signals, the actual signals of the government are saying, we don't care. We don't care about climate. We're not going to pass anything about climate. When the Democrats don't have Republicans standing in their way to do something about climate, what do? They put up another Democrat, Joe Manchin, to block doing anything about climate. So what that tells me on the surface is that, or from observation, from obvious, all the obvious signals are like, we're not doing anything for the planet, and we want you guys that are trying to get us to do something about the planet. We want you to go away. We don't care about you. We're really not trying to do anything about the planet, even though, we'll fake like we are. So, and again, so if the Green New Deal is some evil plan to institute some things that are going to lead us down the path of global authoritarianism, here's the thing. It just is politically dead in the water. It's been politically dead in the water for a long time. And nobody cares about the Green New Deal. It's not going to get passed anytime soon. Nobody takes it seriously. So if the Green New Deal is really all that evil, it doesn't seem to be doing a lot of evil. So maybe, I think people are just confused about what the Green New Deal is, right? When they're like, I care about the climate, that's why we need a Green New Deal. And they don't understand that the Green New Deal is really not a thing that you should be. The Green New Deal is, weak sauce, milk toast, at best, trying to confront climate change. But it's just the most politically visible thing that they can get behind to go like, we care about the climate, please pass the Green New Deal. But guess where Green New Deal, somebody's been saying, please pass the Green New Deal for a decade now, over a decade. Get zero, zilch, nada. They're not passing any Green New Deal. So if this Green New Deal is some, I don't know, super, if it's some super evil plan, it doesn't seem to be going very anywhere. I don't know. It doesn't have a lot of political support. I don't know. At least not in the U.S. Maybe in other countries, they're far more ahead in the environment. We care about the environment. We're going to do something about it. And obviously, everybody calls that super evil. I don't know. I myself don't know if these protests are real or fake. The fact that the Hill staffers got so little media coverage actually indicates to me that maybe it was actually real. That maybe they were like, there's nothing happening. You guys are not doing anything. The Biden administration is dragging butt on climate change, and that's true. And we really care about the climate. So would you guys please do something? And then they were like, oh, okay, we'll do something. So I don't, who knows? We'll keep talking about it. So yeah, Las Vegas flooding, multiple casinos, entire strip, airport under water. That is funny because I know a show that actually is based in Las Vegas, and I didn't hear a peep out of them about the flooding in Las Vegas. And maybe I missed that part. I'm sorry if I missed that part. I apologize. But I didn't hear a peep out of the show that was based in Las Vegas talking about the flooding in Las Vegas. Maybe because it's just inconvenient to acknowledge. I don't know. And maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I should just shut up right now. Airports, parking lots, entire Las Vegas Strip, which houses some of the world's most famous casinos, hotels, were flooded Thursday night. Heavy rain filled countless buildings as the city put a flash flood and severe thunderstorm warning in place. Again, would love to know where the satellite microwaves are that are supposed to be destroying all the rain all the time. I don't know. Especially with all the severe flooding we've seen. That's crazy. There you go. Casinos flooded. Wild. Guys, thank you for showing me this. That's wild. There you go. So we've seen massive flooding in St. Louis, Kentucky. Um, let's go to some more. We'll just cover some extreme weather type stuff that's going on. Uh, well, this is interesting. This will tie into this and other weird, wacky weather events. Overnight storm dumps mounds of hail over northern Colorado. This is from yesterday. Hail. So this is bizarre because this is about as weather whiplashy as we can get. You have extreme heat in the Pacific Northwest. You have extreme heat wave forecasts for next week into the next week in the Midwest. But meanwhile, you have massive flooding in Kentucky, massive flooding, I mean, all over the Midwest and I don't know what you call that area, Midwest into the east. Um, St. Louis as well, other places as well, massive flooding. Well, they're just skipping to that. I didn't actually want you to skip to that. But anyways, hail in July. Oh, darn, now I've lost it. Hail in July in Colorado. This is just the sound of hail. So massive hailstorm. Remember when we saw a hailstorm in Mexico City? Crazy. We'll keep going. I'm going to try and actually just run really fast through all these stories. Because I must. From Elliot Jacobson. Oh no, this is not it. Wrong one. Sorry, we'll cover this tomorrow. This from Elliot Jacobson. This is now well within the GFS has not gone totally bonkers forecast time window. Wednesday, August 3rd. This is the forecast for next week. Wednesday, August 3rd, all-time record high temps in many places. This is for the Midwest. 113 Fahrenheit is possible in Iowa, the center of the nation's breadbasket for corn, soybeans, hogs, and butter sculptures. It's got a little humor bone there. Yeah. So more heat waves being forecast for next week. Crazy. And we'll see what actually happens. Look at these temperatures, though, forecast. In Iowa and Nebraska, 112, 111, 109. That is cooking. We're cooking, Jack, as Joe Biden might say. More on this. Let's keep going. XR Cambridge GFS now suggesting rolling European heat waves to usher in August. First one is locked in for next week, and it is now spotting something potentially more extreme for the following week. This is becoming no joke. I don't know how you can miss this. It's very extreme. For Europe. So now, more on this. From XR Cambridge, widespread 40C plus again for France next week. Germany will also push close to 40C as the heat drifts north and east. 40C in Germany also pretty rare. Pretty rare. But now seen quite often. Now, pretty much every summer. So, Western New York got a tornado warning. What's up, Sandy? How you doing? E2 tornado was near you yesterday. Oh my God. Yeah, and what are we seeing? I mean, we are seeing lots and lots of tornadoes. Salt Licker says I just ordered SPF 5000 on Amazon, and it hit a farm. Wow, crazy. That is crazy, Sandy. Yeah, and we're seeing what are we seeing? A lot of tornadoes. What are we seeing? A lot of floods. What are we seeing? A lot of heat waves. What are we seeing? A lot of king tides. What are we seeing? Nothing at all going on there. Let's see. Let's keep going. Torrid heat wave in the Pacific Northwest. Again, an entire week of above 90 temperature and 3 days in there, 3 or 4, it depends on what the actual, where the actual temperatures land when they report them officially, but, 3 to 4 days in there also at 100 degrees, which would be pretty record setting. Triple digit heat was being investigated on Thursday as the cause of death for 4 people as a sweltering heat wave enveloped the U.S. Pacific. And so that's not out of the bounds of reality, right? 4 people died from extreme heat or heat, related injuries. Not a crazy number. Temperatures in Oregon's largest city were forecast to soar to 101 Fahrenheit again on Friday. On Tuesday, Portland set a daily record of 102 Fahrenheit. Seattle also reported a new record daily high of 94 Fahrenheit. Heat spell was forecast to last into Saturday in western Washington as well. Duration of the heat wave puts Portland in the running for tying its longest streak of 6 consecutive days of 95 Fahrenheit or higher. Climate change is fueling longer heat waves in the Pacific Northwest, a region where week-long heat spells are historically rare, according to climate experts. That is true, historically rare. And they're becoming something of a regularity now. All right, let's keep going. I'm trying to get through all my stories. Oh, more extreme weather. I mean, I just can't. It's kind of wild. The extreme weather. The extreme weather is just, battering everything. This is from Fantomas. Catastrophic flash flooding turns deadly, leaves Kentucky towns underwater. We already talked about this. So, wow. And this is what I want to point out, if you have been paying attention. Over the last few years, what have we seen in the Midwest? Pretty much every single summer. I mean, I actually can't remember, if I go back, the last 4, 5, 6 years, I can't remember a summer when we didn't have massive extreme flooding somewhere in the Midwest. Pretty much every single summer. And we had flooding earlier in the spring this year, right? Farmers were not able to plant their crops because the ground was flooded in Canada and the northern plains in the U.S. The ground was extremely wet from what? From massive flooding, right? And they could not plant, they couldn't put things into the ground. Man, it seems like the weather's gone crazy. I wonder what is going on. Somebody please tell me. Okay, so we'll look at this quickly here. So I don't know. North says on call-in says tax the wealthiest companies and to climate. Yeah, I agree. I say tax. Let's tax. 100%, because I want to tax a lot of companies out of business, because if you're not providing an actual service that helps keep people alive, you know, are you necessary? But I know that's extreme. But let's say let's say we go back to the FDR days, 90% tax rate. Let's do that. Let's do that. And then also let's prosecute companies. Let's confiscate, or put out of business companies that move their funds offshore or keep all their money elsewhere so that they don't get taxed, like Apple and like a bunch of other companies. How about strengthening those laws as well, or even enforcing those laws? I'm sure those laws exist somewhere. Okay, this is Saul. Saul works for Cori Bush and Deb Haaland. Whoa. Okay. All right, but let's say, this is a kid who works as a Hill staffer, and he's like, I don't see you guys doing anything. We're all really concerned about this climate thing. We thought we were voting for Joe Biden because he was going to be the climate guy, and what he's doing is, yes, Strin39 on call-in says maybe even sees means. Yes, exactly. I agree. Maybe these people that work are like, hey, you guys are supposed to be doing something about climate change, and you guys are not doing anything about climate change, and what's the deal, right? So maybe we'll do a little protest ourselves. I don't know. I can't really tell whether this is farcical or not. You be the judge. But they got arrested, and then they got apparently got the Senate to move on something. Let's look at this article from the Hill. Hill staffers hold climate protests in Schumer's office. Congressional staffers this morning protested in the office of Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to urge him to continue negotiating on the climate change bill. Several aides posted about the sit-in on Twitter, including Aria Kovalovich, professional staff member for the House Oversight and Reform Subcommittee on Environment, and Saul Levin, a policy advisor for Representative Cori Bush. More than a dozen staffers held signs reading "Keep Negotiating, Chuck" and "Climate Policy Now" while they sat peacefully in Schumer's office around 11 a.m. today. One video showed them singing. Six all-House staffers were arrested after refusing to leave Schumer's office in the Hart Senate office building, according to the U.S. Capitol Police. It's an unusual and perhaps unprecedented protest by congressional aides who generally try to stay out of the spotlight. The sit-in follows a letter earlier this month signed anonymously by more than 200 staffers demanding clean energy and climate legislation. Right now, we Hill staffers are peacefully protesting Dem leaders inside. To my knowledge, this has never been done. Levin wrote on Twitter, "We've also never seen a climate catastrophe." Okay, those are true words. So there's that. So we're meeting at the moment. Climate negotiations between Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin fell apart this month when Manchin said he would not support the clean energy provisions of a party line spending bill while inflation is at 9.1%. How are we going to... Going back to we can't afford it. How are we going to pay for that? We can't afford it. the reality is that climate action is, climate change is real. Climate action is necessary, and these things, people are trying to push these topics, from every point imaginable. Could there be bad actors in there? Sure, but that doesn't negate. It doesn't negate the reality of the problem, and doesn't negate, people's real concern for trying to get something, something fixed, even though, obviously difficult, if not impossible, to get, something politically done about climate change. Anyways, just thought it was interesting. There was another, we're going to go back to the Congressional baseball game where people were protesting in the stands of the Congressional baseball game in D.C., and the cops came through and ripped down their signs. Police confiscate banners from climate activists at the Congressional baseball game. They are protecting and serving the shit out of those people, says Revolutionary Blackout Network. No, take down those signs. We don't like this climate protest. We do not want to see it. Sorry, you guys didn't see that. So oh, do you think, does this look like the state, really cares about climate change? Does this look like the state is trying to drum up for climate change? Do you think this is the state making sure that we get the climate change agenda pushed through? Again, it doesn't seem like any climate change action is actually even being allowed, discussed, promoted. Not so much. Not so much. Interesting. I'll take a little side trip here for a second. Interesting conversation between James Corbett yesterday and Ryan Christian, if anybody listened to that, and they ended up talking about climate. What is this? Hold on one second. Interesting. I like it. I like it. U.S. Ministry of Truth. Like your handle on Colin, sir, or ma'am. Anyways, there was a conversation between Ryan Christian and James Corbett. James Corbett, seeming, both pretty diehard climate deniers. But here's the interesting part of the conversation is they were talking about the Dutch farmers and the nitrogen and all that stuff, and James Corbett said, "But you got to know, it actually is a problem. We do actually need to limit the nitrogen." And I was like, "Thank you, James, for acknowledging that this actually is a problem." Then he went on to say, "Well, they're just doing the wrong thing about it." And you can, there's lots of arguments for and against whether they're doing the right thing in the face of the problem of nitrogen, which is actually a problem. James Corbett said this is actually a real problem. So we have to. What are we going to do about it? They're pushing the wrong solution on us, but the solution it's the same with climate change, right? Climate change, the powers that be might be pushing the wrong solution on us. However, that does not negate the problem and doesn't negate people, consistently desiring some kind of real action on it, or desiring an answer or a solution or a path forward. There's absolutely nothing nefarious about that on any level. It also reminded me of, I was reading the RFK Jr. book, and RFK said, was going into Bill Gates and his eugenicist overpopulation ideas. But at some point in the book, in that section, RFK goes, now I do agree with Bill Gates of the fact that if we keep overpopulating the planet and consuming everything down to the ground, that we're going to have real problems. So what RFK was saying was like, actually the problem is real. The problem of overpopulation and overconsumption is actually a problem. He just didn't agree with the way that Bill Gates was trying to go about it, which was underhandedly through vaccines and through these other medicines, pushing them on people of the third world, in a true eugenicist fashion. Which actually James Corbett pointed out too in the same interview. He was like, he said, and it was an interesting acknowledgement, because he almost acknowledged that overpopulation might be a thing. But what he said was, it's not that, the problem isn't that they want to get rid of people. The problem is that they want to get rid of the wrong kind of people, right? And I was like, ooh, oh, James Corbett, do you understand the problem of overpopulation? But yeah, and I agree. Look, when we talk about overpopulation, nobody, not one person is like, kill them all. Who are you gonna kill first? People in Africa got to be controlled. Nobody's saying stupid stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about acknowledging the issue of overpopulation and then thoughtfully addressing it. Well, what do you do about it? What do you do about it in a way that isn't eugenicist, that isn't, nefarious, but you can't even have that conversation because people just absolutely lose their minds when you bring up the, oh my God, eugenicist, Malthusian, blah, 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 Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab. Okay, we're trying to have a conversation here. So what you got to do is stop the reactionary, like, it's almost idiocy at some point, because it's just, you're not even thinking at that point. You're just this is bad. I was told this is all bad, and this is what they're trying to kill us all. No, that's not what anybody's saying. They're trying to say, this is a problem. Maybe we should consider it, and maybe we should consider compassionate ways to deal with it. Compassionate meaning, could we have less children? Oh, whoa, crazy idea. Right? Whoa, oh my God. And even on the left, it's a taboo subject because it's automatically racist. And that actually, I'm going to stop talking in a second about this, but that gets my little spidey senses going when the left and the right are both like vehemently reject an idea. No, you can't even talk about this thing. And then I go, huh? Really? We can't? Right? The left calls it race. It's like, well, no, we're talking about overpopulation. We're not saying, oh, these, the people in the global south got to control themselves. Nobody's saying that. We're talking about overpopulation of the entire planet. It's a communal problem. Can we all have a conversation about it? Can we sit down and just have a rational No, you can't have a rational conversation about it because people are screaming at you the minute you bring it up. Michael Moore, case in point, when Planet of the Humans came out, they tried to censor him right away. Probably more because he said something about overpopulation than anything else. They hate that idea. Which makes me actually think it's not really an idea they hate. They want it slammed down so hard, the consideration of it slammed so hard on the right and the left. I'm like, whose idea is this? Is this real? Are these really your thoughts? Are you, or is somebody, is there some kind of overarching, is that an agenda to make everybody crazy about overpopulation? Because if you actually bring down the population of the planet, you can't really have a global industrial capitalist society. It's very difficult. Everything crumbles. Everything falls apart. Anyways, that's just a thought of mine. That's just an opinion. I don't know that, I'm not like I don't know that somebody is putting out this, we must kill the overpopulation agenda, thing, but it's kind of a thing. It's kind of a thing. It's in what was the movie, Avengers, or was it? I don't know what the movie was with Thanos. That was some pretty good brainwashing there. That was some pretty good propaganda. He's killing half of the universe. He's crazy, right? And that's how they want you to think about the overpopulation issue, is that only, the answers are always crazy. The answers are always deadly. They're always eugenicists. They're always Malthusian. Not Malthusian, but they're always crazy, wild-eyed, super lizard people answers. No. We want to have a conversation about it. Just regular people. I'm a regular dude. I just want to have a conversation about it. Anyways. I'll stop talking about that. From Sarah Baker, here's something to know about what's going on politically in the Biden administration. Just when you thought they didn't care about the climate, even more, they proved to you that they don't care about the climate even more. So this is good looking out, Sarah. Well, there's nothing in the bill about banning So, hold on. Well, let's go to this. President Biden tweets out, "Let me be clear, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 would be the most significant legislation in history to tackle the climate crisis and to improve our energy security." She says, "There is nothing in the bill about banning plastic straws, but there is this little thing in there requiring the Interior Department to offer at least 2 million acres of public lands and 60 million acres of offshore water to the fossil fuel industry each year for 10 years. What? So supposedly this act is going to tackle climate change, but it's actually enforcing the sale of lands and waterways to the fossil fuel industry. See how that works? Yeah? We're doing something for the climate, and what that is killing the climate. It's like, we're passing the puppies for everyone bill. And as soon as it passes, your grandma is going to go out on the street. Goodbye. We're going to take away her Medicare, her Social Security, and good luck. That's what the puppies for everyone bill is going to do. But this is climate change, supposedly. The Inflation Reduction Act is supposedly supposed to tackle climate crisis, but it is not going to tackle the climate crisis. Yeah. Gritty is away, follows up, spending less than 5% of what we're spending on military to tackle the climate crisis is absolutely pathetic, woefully inadequate, not nearly the flex you seem to think it is. And this is part of the bill. That is wild. It would require the Interior Department to offer these lands every single year for 10 years. If they fall short, they wouldn't be able to advance some permitting aspects of the wind and solar projects on federal land. Wow. It would be the first ever required minimum acreage for offshore oil and gas leasing and significantly increase the acreage requirements for onshore leasing. Holy shit. Wow. Sarah Baker, good job pointing this out. Thank you so much. I'm glad I saw this in the feed. This is the opposite. This is more destruction for you and yours and the future of the planet. So good job. Good job, Biden administration. So, maybe those kids, the staffers, maybe they're onto something. Maybe they're like, hey, wait a minute. Guys. You guys are so kooky. Jordan Perry, beware the recreation industrial complex, which I think is funny. Recreation industrial complex, which there is. It's just like, hey, why don't you guys do that? Everybody, uh, we got cruises and airplanes and vacation spots for you. It's a recreation and industrial complex. We got eco tours for you to go on. Nothing more ridiculous than ecotourism. Anyways, or maybe you might want to call it oxymoronic ecotourism. Just because we're all abused by our addiction to global industrial civilization does not give us the right to go destroy every natural thing we can drive to with our booze and toys. My rule, go on foot, carry what you can, that's it. Somebody says, and this is true, tourism, including hiking, is a problem when there are so many humans in the world. A bear attacks in Canada, it is destroyed. Destroyed is a nice word for shot. There needs to be places where humans just stay out. And I've said this for a really long time. No-go zones would be great. Anyways, I love hiking, and I go hiking when I can. I just don't think that every single place should be available for hiking. Far fewer places should be available. Sorry if that sounds mean to the hikers or the outdoors peoples. Do your outdoors people stuff somewhere else. From Poppy, the Congo says, and we covered this story the other day, how can rich countries which built their prosperity on fossil fuels and the exploitation of other regions, natural resources, demand that poorer nations keep their fossil fuels in the ground? Yeah. And that's just how difficult it's going to be to actually partake in any climate action, because it's going to be, oh, here's another, we'll just keep going with this idea, this brainworm that's out there, which is that, well, you guys got to destroy the planet and suck up all the resources. So logic says, I get to too. And then we all die. Ha ha. It's going to be so awesome. The WEF has called for an end to private car ownership. Horrors. I'll tell you what, when I see them all give up their cars and their planes and their mansions, I'll do the same, but until then, no. So I actually, no, I totally agree with this. On one level, I agree with, we need the leaders to be, we need them to go, firstly, right, go away. The corporations need to be dissolved, you know, shattered into 1,000 pieces, wealth confiscated, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe we could start with Klaus Schwab. And we need them, you know, you guys don't get the mansions and the cars and the planes anymore. So that's going to be the first thing to go. And then we got to let people, hey, I'm do a show here. And then we got to let people know, you know, hey, this is unfortunate. We've already, you know, all these folks that did all the fun things in the past, that kind of destroyed it for us. That sucks, I know. But we're going to have to keep it in the ground. We're going to have to keep it, you know, we're going to have to chill out. Okay. I don't know how well that mess is going to go on. All right. I'm going to do like 7 more minutes on Rockfin YouTubers. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And until next time. Before I go, let me do a little plugging. This is the very best way to support the show. This on the screen, Cash App address. I appreciate y'all. And I will see you all tomorrow.